those of you who just joined us, Katie here this morning is going to show us how to make holidazzle eggs ourselves at home. Now, Katie, I got to admit,
What?
I was a little bit surprised.
Woo! I'm slamming them tonight.
What's up, beautiful people? I'm Zack, and you're watching Zack Makes Movies.
No, not that mother scratcher.
The channel where we talk about...
You guessed it, Frank Stallone.
I've been a big fan of the Coen brothers for a long time now, and over the years I've come to the conclusion that they may in fact be among the most brilliant minds to ever grace this hellish town.
They call Los Angeles the City of Angels. I didn't find it to be that exactly.
A small portion of their nearly flawless filmography was particularly vital in the forming of my early and current writing style. From the meticulous genre bending of films like Fargo and Barton Fink, to the revolutionary camera techniques of Raising Arizona, not to mention about 1,000 other things I can talk about there, but we'll get to that. With no further ado, I give you my personal top 10 Coen brothers movies.
Call it.
Number 10, The Hudsucker Proxy.
You know, for kids.
This is one of the most bizarre movies in the Coen brothers catalog. The concept of making a fictional movie about the inventor of the hula hoop is hilarious enough to break the top 10 on its own. Plus, it's fun for the whole family.
You know, for kids.
Tim Robbins is great as our hapless hero who seemingly falls ass backwards into fortune. Basically the exact opposite of Shawshank Redemption. The product pitch where he just draws a circle and expects everyone to get it is one of the funniest visual gags of all time.
I developed it myself.
The cartoonish company, insane random cast, and Coen's signature repeated joke style elevates this otherwise middling, quirky comedy to a solid standout at the bottom of one hell of a list.
You know, for kids.
Number 9, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. This is an extremely unique western, but it still manages to impress with all the usual hallmarks of the genre.
I'm Buster Scruggs.
You're shooting ironwork.
The gunslinging is very creative and sets itself apart from a medium already packed with original takes. It's an interesting film, full of interesting choices, though none are unfamiliar to the Coen brothers. Casting a talented character actor as the film's lead? Check. Utilizing unconventional storytelling methods to give the audience more a series of anthological vignettes than a traditional sequence of scenes? Check. And a hilarious death scene undercut with well-intentioned comedy?
Checkmate.
The cinematography is beautiful, and the film is chock full of great cameos. Say what you will about James Franco,
Treats objects like women, man.
but this meme is an instant classic.
First time.
All in all, it's a solid western, and it's further proof that when they put their heads together, these two lunatics can do just about anything they want. Speaking of fantastic cinematography, up next we have a Coen brothers mafia movie.
Up is down. Black is white.
Number 8, Miller's Crossing. Miller's Crossing was shot by the legendary Barry Sonnenfeld, who went on to direct Men in Black and The Addams Family. This movie has a more standard tone and genre than some of the brothers' later projects, but it still boasts those very same hallmarks. More great lead performances by character actors like John Polito and Turturro.
Tommy, you can't do this. You don't bump guys. It's not right, Tom.
And a memorable turn by the great Gabriel Byrne, who would go on to star in The Usual Suspects just a few years later. I still can't believe Kevin Spacey was a criminal deviant the whole time. But I digress. Miller's Crossing is an original take on a type of film that had nearly been beaten to death already by 1990, particularly 3 days earlier. Terrible timing, boys. Oh well. The dialogue is extremely sharp, and occasionally very funny.
What did you tell Leo?
I told him you were a tramp and he should dump you.
Plus, the soundtrack really ties the room together.
Who elected you leader of this outfit? Well, Pete, I figured it should be the one with the capacity for abstract thought.
Number 7, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Well, it was only a matter of time before Homer's Odyssey was adapted into a comedy. Clooney and the boys take the epic tale by storm in a movie that is kinda done in the same style as the Jack Black movie Year One, but made just a touch more artfully.
Come and get me, Captain!
Oh, George, not the livestock.
The music in the film is oddly memorable, and the siren scene is particularly haunting.
How to do, ladies? Name of Pete.
The prettiest.
Me and the devil makes three.
Yes.
Don't need no other loving, baby.
Once again, the Coens managed to make murder funny, and the breathtaking set pieces and locations only add a cherry on top of the incredible performances, like that of John Goodman, who steals the movie in a matter of seconds. Still, somehow the scene I remember the most is this. John Turturro jumps right off the screen once again in this oddball comedy, but I think I like his next performance even more. Number 6. Barton Fink. This movie is about a screenwriter, so if you thought it wasn't going in the top 10, then obviously you're not a golfer. Alright, here we go again. Another great leading man performance from John Turturro in this dark, zany, and strange film. We get another incredible turn by John Goodman, this time as a terrifying lunatic.
A world of pain.
The general tone and imagery of the film is creepy and unsettling. The strange, unique vibe coursing through every moment of the movie helps to make it stand alone amongst the rest of the projects on this list. And the very idea of taking the inner turmoil of a neurotic writer and bringing it to life in the most insane, dramatic way imaginable is just pure genius. Okay, gang, we made it. The top 5. Beginning with...
Der Rabbiner Shalom hat uns verscholten. Kreitel Groschka wäre steut. Ist gestorben schon mit 3 Jahren zurück.
Number 5. A Serious Man.
Marital problems?
From the strange, seemingly unrelated opening, I mean seriously, I could do a whole college course on this shit alone, to the ambiguous tornado-ass ending, this movie is anything but predictable. Michael Stolberg is cast perfectly as the most pathetic man you've ever met, and as the movie goes on, his dismal life only gets progressively worse.
He has health problems.
Lost and hopeless, he seeks the counsel of the 3 very different rabbis at his synagogue, whose varied lessons to him frame the film in 3 flawlessly paced acts. The youngest rabbi, played by the very funny Simon Helberg, who deserves a hell of a lot better than the piece of shit show he was on, tries to cheer up our helpless hero by drooling over a parking lot.
Things aren't so bad. Look at the parking lot, Larry. Just look at that parking lot.
The second tells a completely unhinged biblical tale about a man who learns something about himself at the dentist.
There appears to be something engraved, and the inside of the patient's lower incisors.
And the last is too busy to meet with him.
He didn't look busy.
He's thinking.
Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you?
Make no mistake, despite the efforts of the late, great Cy Abelman, a hilarious tense stoned bar mitzvah, and the rocking soundtrack of the psychedelic 60s, this is a film of philosophy. It's not a dark comedy, it's a comedic drama, and it leaves us with more questions than answers.
Terrific time. I know you've heard about it. We want all of you to come with. And that's the truth. Okay, now.
Number 4. Fargo. This film won the Oscar for Best Picture, and it's only number 4 on my list. This can only mean 2 things. Either I'm an idiot, or the Coen brothers are some of the best filmmakers of all time.
¿Por qué no las dos?
Old El Paso.
No, I guarantee this was an honest-to-goodness great...
The snowy Minnesotan vibes drop you right into the movie like the first page of a good book. The characters are uniquely fantastic. The genre blend of crime, drama, and light-hearted comedy is one of the finest mixes on the painting palette of film history. And the storyline is so good you couldn't make it up. Oh wait, yes you could. Frances McDormand is at her most relatable here, and alongside John Carroll Lynch, they make one of the cutest couples in the totality of cinema.
I love you, Margie.
I love you, Norm.
But that's not all. William H. Macy crushes his role as a pathetic dork, and Steve Buscemi shines as a motor-mouthed criminal. The wood chipper scene is certainly among the most memorable moments. As is this moron practicing his story.
Wade, it's Jerry. Wade, it's Jerry. We gotta talk. It's something hard, jeez.
But the one that sticks with me is this.
And for what?
for a little bit of money. There's more to life than a little money, you know.
A lesson that should have been learned by the protagonist of our next pick. Number 3. No Country for Old Men. This is another one that could easily take the top spot on the list. It's a masterful work of filmmaking. But I'm a sucker for an original concept, so just like True Grit, it loses a couple points for me simply by virtue of credit being largely due to another writer. In this case, the legendary author Cormac McCarthy. Though in all fairness, so much of what makes this movie work is in the filmmaking, beginning with casting. Josh Brolin, Woody Harrelson, Tommy Lee Jones. This is what we would call stacked. Brolin feels like an oddball of a hero from the word go, as if foreshadowing his demise from the very beginning. Only the Coen brothers can get away with killing their main character off-screen. Woody Harrelson is another great addition to the cast, and another good guy taken out in this ruthless movie. Spoiler alert. And what can I say about Tommy Lee Jones that William Friedkin hasn't already said 100 times more eloquently?
I don't give a flying fuck into a rolling donut about what Al Pacino thinks. I cared a lot, for example, about what Tommy Lee Jones thought, because this guy was a brilliant, professional, prepared actor.
I refuse to refer to The Last Jedi as TLJ, because that name belongs to the one and only Tommy Lee Jones, who cannot sanction Jim Carrey's buffoonery.
He couldn't?
He couldn't sanction my buffoonery.
What movie is this?
All it takes is a few seconds of a scene like this to know he knows his craft.
I knew that whenever I got there, he'd be there. Then I woke up.
But if we're gonna talk acting in this movie, nothing tops the villain.
Don't put it in your pocket. It's your lucky quarter. Where you want me to put it? Anywhere not in your pocket. Or it'll get mixed in with the others and become just a coin. Which it is.
Javier Bardem is one of the scariest characters ever put to film as Anton Chigurh. He's got a weird name, an even weirder haircut, and a particularly unique weapon of choice.
What is that for?
Would you hold still, please, sir?
The coin flip sequences are each more terrifying than the last, but the most memorable has to be this badass bitch who stood up to the pumpkin pie haircutted freak without a care in the world. No Country feels like no other movie of its genre. From the opening scene leading into the dilemma of helping a dying, dehydrated man in the desert, and culminating in a long, intense, suspenseful sequence at a motel. In many ways, this feels like a sort of an anti-movie, but you know what they say.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like, your opinion, man.
Hello. I'm Mortimer Young of Forever Young Film Preservation.
This evening's title is The Grand Lebowski, originally adapted from a Stephen King novella titled Rita Hayworth and White Russians. Number 2, The Big Lebowski. Now I know you're thinking, why isn't it number 1? Who does this guy think he is? What's his address? I'm gonna kill him.
This will not stand, you know? This aggression will not stand, man.
Where do we even begin? What can be said of a movie so unsuccessful that it was deemed an embarrassing follow-up to their Oscar-winning picture Fargo?
Smokey, this is not Nam, this is bowling. There are rules.
Hey.
And yet so successful that it spawned a f***ing religion.
See what happens, Lebowski? You see what happens?
You see what happens? You see what happens, Larry?
Jeff Bridges is iconic as the Dude, a Zen master stoner,
to use the parlance of our times,
whose life revolves around bowling, whose movie takes place at a bowling alley, and who is not shown bowling one single frame in the entire film. John Goodman is at his absolute funniest as Walter, a tightly wound war veteran who dabbled in pacifism. Not in Nam, of course. Walter is a complete and total maniac.
Calmer than you are.
You just take it easy.
Calmer than you are.
His outbursts are a huge part of the comedy.
Has the whole world gone crazy?
As a whole, this movie has some of the funniest dialogue ever put to film.
You know, this could be a lot more complex. I mean, it's not just, it might not be just such a simple...
Once again, the Coen brothers utilize their signature method of repeating a casual turn of phrase, until it's somehow the funniest thing you've heard in your life.
In the parlance of our times, you know.
The entire cast is hilarious, from Julianne Moore as Maud Lebowski,
Vagina,
to the late great Philip Seymour Hoffman, whose every acting choice is uniquely fascinating.
Wonderful woman.
The plot is built on miscommunication, which is ideal for comedy. And while normally a passive hero is less than ideal, here it's just fantastic.
When did you start?
No! What the fuck? In the limo, you son of a bitch. No argument. Hey, careful, man. There's a beverage here, huh?
The use of narration by Sam Elliott perfectly frames this strange little movie, jumping right into one of the great character introductions of all time. The film's unique blend of tone and genre lends to its singular position in cinema history. The CCR-soaked soundtrack beautifully encapsulates the anti-Eagles mentality of the film. But I really think we're moving past the dialogue too quickly.
Every time a rug is micturated upon in this fair city, I have to compensate the person.
Okay, that's enough. Wait, one more.
I can get you a tow. Believe me. There are ways, dude. You don't want to know about it, believe me.
Yeah, but Walter...
Hell, I can get you a tow by 3 o'clock this afternoon with nail polish.
And if you watch this movie just to enjoy the comedy, I will cut off your Johnson.
Excuse me?
I said we cut off your Johnson!
Because this isn't just a regular old comedy, dude. Take the introduction to Jackie Treehorn, for instance. This isn't comedy. This is cinema. Drawing from dozens of inspirations, mostly from the noir crime genre, Joel and Ethan Coen prove once again what true masters they are of the medium. The multiple psychedelic montages are brilliantly shot and edited, and help contribute to the unique style of the film, as does weird-ass wild performance art shit like this. And this. And this. The movie wraps up in the only way it possibly could, by bringing us full circle back to the place it all started. I guess that's the way the whole darned human comedy keeps perpetuating itself down through the generations. Before we continue, I'd just like to state for the record that I have seen all 18 Coen Brothers movies, and the rest of the list looks like this. Which means there can only be one choice for the number one spot. My personal favorite Coen Brothers movie, and one of the greatest films of all time. Number 1, Raising Arizona.
Call me High. The first time I met Ed was in the county lockup in Tempe, Arizona.
The Big Lebowski has infinitely more quotable lines. No Country for Old Men is a much stronger film. Fargo is better, undoubtedly. But this one is my favorite, and I'll tell you why. Some movies start off with the title card. Simple, effective, perfectly acceptable. Some movies end with the title card. Can be very cool if done right. And some movies start with a teaser scene, usually 2 to 5 minutes, and then flash the title card. But there's a select few films I've seen over the years that drop it 10, 15, even 20 minutes into the movie. The Empty Man did it most recently in my memory, but none have ever done it as well as Raising Arizona. This is not an opening scene. This is a short film all on its own. Like the opening to Up, the beginning sequence of this movie is easily and unquestionably the best part. Now, that's not to say it goes downhill from here, but it's hard to improve upon perfection. In this opening sequence, and it's a sequence, not a scene, we meet High, we meet Ed, we get to know their personalities, their work lives, their home lives. We watch her engaged, then single, then engaged again, married, then devastated to find out that her womb is a rocky place where his seed could find no purchase.
Okay, then.
And him we meet in and out of jail. He's a recidivist, you understand? A repeat offender. He robs convenience stores, gets caught, and winds up sharing a bunk with a man who ate sand.
You ate sand? That's right.
The incredible twanging hillbilly music infused with random assortments of Ode to Joy is yet another perfect score from the brilliant Carter Burwell, who also did the music for Fargo, Blood Simple, and a bunch of other movies. It's an absolutely fantastic setup of tone, world, and character. There are more great moments in the first 10 minutes of this film than there are in the entirety of most filmmakers' careers, and it all builds up to the most beautiful title card of all time. Now, I gotta tell you guys something. And it's something that I think might split the audience. But it'll split the audience between the true film fans and the casual film fans. Folks, I fucking love Nicolas Cage. People have debated for years whether or not he's actually a good actor.
If I was in 70 films over 30 years and I spent each one talking at random volumes, I might accidentally win an Oscar.
Personally, I think he's brilliant. And this story from director Osgood Perkins from the behind the scenes of the recent film Longlegs, which is dope by the way, is the quintessential example of what a one-of-a-kind consummate pro this guy really is.
I mean, Nicolas Cage is obviously one of the great movie stars of all time. When we were making Longlegs, the sound guy came over to me one day. I don't understand anything like it. I was like, what, everything okay? And he's like, well, when Nick is mic'd and I'm watching the dials, when Nick goes big, he goes right to the line. It's like anything more, a decibel or two over that would clip, and it would be hard to use. When he goes big and he yells and he's crazy, he goes right to the line. And then when he goes down and he goes soft and he's whispering and he's barely talking, he goes right to the line. He's like, anything past that line, you wouldn't be able to use it, but he knows where the lines are. And I was like, man, that's nuts. He's like, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, I'm a cat. I'm a sexy cat.
Holly Hunter, aka Mrs. Incredible, is truly perfect for the role.
I love him so much.
This is another great cinematic love story, another showcasing of the brothers' incredible talent at character and dialogue. This was their second film, a very rare successful sophomore follow-up. But don't take it from me, let's hear what Quentin Tarantino has to say.
With the exception of Raising Arizona, what had happened time and time again, to such a degree that it was practically a cliche, is these young independent filmmakers would come out with these, wow, just blow the top of your head off, drop your jaw, first films that just blew you away. And they had the worst movie they ever did as their sophomore film.
Pretty much almost everything I said about Evil Dead 2 could be applied to Raising Arizona.
Yeah.
I mean, every single solitary fucking thing I said.
I was like, these people are...
Except add better dialogue.
Yeah.
And just maybe the greatest performance in any of their movies.
The concept itself is as funny as the movie, which is the #1 way to guarantee a good comedy. The repeated dialogue, like in The Big Lebowski, really helps hammer the lines into your head. Nathan Arizona kicks ass.
Sir, it's been rumored that your son was abducted by UFOs. Would you care to comment?
Don't print that, son. If his mama reads that, she's just gonna lose all hope.
The camera work is truly fantastic, and the diaper scene is an all-timer.
If you're a movie-mad young guy in your early 20s and you see Raising Arizona and you see that shooting style, it's like, well, what's the point of ever shooting any movie not like that?
I know.
All right, that seemed like, okay, a new shooting style has been developed and everything else looks old-fashioned by comparison.
Even the bad guys in this movie are fun. John Goodman and William Forsythe are both great as Gale and Evil Snoats.
Works what's kept us happy.
By the way, can we take a moment to appreciate the names these f***ers come up with? Evil, Gale, Edwina, Hi, Lewin, Lulin. Okay, I know that one was Cormac, which frankly belongs on the list itself. But it's weird they use both, right?
¿Por qué no los dos? Old El Paso.
Criminals stealing a baby from criminals who stole a baby, only to fall in love with the baby and become worrisome parents, is just good comedy. But what makes the Coen brothers the Coen brothers is that despite this being largely a comedy, they just can't help themselves from throwing in a dash of crazy. It's tough to say exactly what the hell Randall Cobb is doing here, but I kind of figured he was the physical embodiment of the inner turmoil that Hi is going through, consciously rationalizing that their little plan may not have been the answer to their prayers after all. But that's what I like about it. There's no definitive answer. Like the tornado at the end of A Serious Man, or the anticlimactic and sudden endings of The Big Lebowski and No Country for Old Men. This film allows the viewer to take part in the conversation the movie is having, because ultimately, we're just another character. And the scenes of our lives are merely movies of themselves that connect each and every one of us within the ever-circuitous tales we weave and live, passing down through the generations, westward to wagons across the sands of time until... look at me. I'm rambling again. Well, I hope you folks enjoyed yourselves. Catch you on down the trail, and subscribe for more videos like this, and much, much more.
791. Oh, bullshit.
Government do take a bite, don't you?
The Coen brothers? I mean, they put them on stamps.